So welcome back to a new Game Stuff episode, and I got a few things here to talk about. I will be talking for quite some time today because there's a lot of really interesting items here to talk about and to get through. And first of all, we're going to start off with the new 2DS XL. So I got a package from Nintendo the other day, and this was that. The new 2DS XL, and I opened it all up and I was like, okay. I took it to the park. I tried it all out. I tried a few new games that just came out as well. I'm here to give my semi-review on it. And it's going to be an interesting review. I've got some positives and I got some negatives. So we're going to get through them all. So to start off with, years ago, I did a video on it. I bought the Nintendo 3DS XL right here. And I really enjoyed that. And then the new 3DS XL came out and loved it, right? A lot of fun. I enjoyed it because the screen was bigger, the 3D tracking for your eyes was better, so for me, it was completely worth it. And then this item came out, and I'll put up the package right here, really close. And this is the new 2DS XL, so they've removed the 3D. But what I do enjoy is that they've added, we have a power adapter inside this time, so you can power up your unit, which is really great. What can I say? How can I compare it? It's really a hard comparison. It's pretty much the same item. This is a lot lighter. This is the one thing I'll say. It's a lot lighter. I do like the aesthetics of it. The one thing that drives me crazy though is they can never get rid of the screen wobble here. Look at that. It's always wobbling. You get it to a little thing and it wobbles. You see? That's always driven me crazy. I have to point that out. That's one thing. How is the screen? The screen is pretty much exactly the same as the new 3DS XL. Their screens are almost identical, and what can I say? Some of the layout has changed a little bit on it all. We'll just have a look at this whole thing here. It's changed quite a bit in some of the layouts. That's really about it, but it's the same machine, just missing 3D now. So if you like 3D, you're not going to get it here. What's my recommendation? I think if you have a 3DS XL right now, you can just turn off the 3D on your own, so you're okay. Where I think this device, I'm trying to figure it out, I think this device is for people who do not have any, like portable Nintendo console, and they want to jump in. Maybe they don't want the 3D. It's a little bit cheaper. They could pick this up. So I would say it's worth it if you don't have any other handheld. This is a nice version. It's lighter. It's good that way. But it's the same stuff we've seen. And the one thing that I thought when I went to the park with it and I was playing it, I was like, the screen is still exactly the same. I've been spoiled by the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch has such an incredible, vibrant screen that I can go to the park and I don't have that reflection on me, right? The screen is that luminescent, it's that bright that it really lights up itself and it's very bright. I can see it clearly in any kind of lights, where the 2DS XL and the 3DS XL, you kind of have to move it a little bit. It still has a bit of that Game Boy-ish feeling that the screen is not bright enough, that sometimes if you're in bright light, the screen will be very sometimes hard to see. But it's a pretty cool device. What can I say? It's not so bad. As I say, get it if you don't have a handheld device yet. And I'll get into some of these games in a second. Here, speaking of handhelds, a company wrote to me called Bitt Boy, and they said, can we send you this portable game unit? It's an NES, but it's portable, it's small, it's got a screen for review. And I said, okay, sure, send it my way. I'll see what it's all about. And so this has arrived. It's called the Bitt Boy. Kind of like Famicom colors going on here with the box. I was very interested to try this out, and there's a little bit to talk about here. So anyways, here is the device itself. It's like a mini Game Boy. Just, obviously speaking about Game Boy, it's a mini Game Boy. Right in the back here, we have a portable battery. You can plug into your USB and you charge this thing. So here it is. What is this? This is a really unusual unit. Let me just turn it on here. Let's turn that on. You can hear those beautiful sounds going on. Look at this tiny little screen. There is 300. I gotta turn the volume down. The volume's here, isn't it? There. Okay. So it's got 300 games on it. Are they all, NES classics on the go? No. There's a lot of Hong Kong knockoff games here. This is the funniest thing. We have Street Fighter V on here. No joke. Street Fighter V is here. It's pretty much just Street Fighter, but on the NES, which was never really officially released. A lot of Hong Kong knockoffs. A lot of real games that we're used to playing. Some Contras on there, the Japanese versions, and then sometimes you get the some knockoff versions. Sometimes you get the NES version. So 300 games. What can I say? The screen is very bright, but it's very, very hard to see any particular game on here. Like, let's go to Super Mario Bros. 3 here. There you go. You can see it from there. You can see it from there. And I'll just press start on there. And we're good to go. There we go. Let's start again. Yeah, you can see it playing there. I'll show you the first level there. Isn't this ridiculous? It is so small. I died right away because I can't see the fucking screen. It's so small. It's small. It reminds me of the Game Boy Micro. It's that kind of size screen. It's that kind of brightness of screen. The controls are pretty good. It's what you would expect from, even being able just to look at it right now. The D-pad's fine. The buttons are fine. The button layout's fine. I have no problem playing the games. I have problems seeing the games. So, it's not a huge recommendation. I can't really recommend it. If you were looking for a cheap little in-your-pocket device, then this is the way to go. I guess you can go to, I don't remember the website offhand, bittboy.com or something like that. You can go check it out, see if it's something for you. It's something that is a bit of a novelty item. For sure, I don't know if I will ever really be playing it ever again. But I want to thank them for sending it to me. I feel bad that I can't give a glowing review, but I got to give the review that it is. It's nice packaging. I think it's about $30. You can get it. Check it out. I think you can get it on Amazon. So, an interesting device. And speaking of interesting games, I got two other games here. We got Hey Pikmin and Miitopia. What do I think about these games? I'll start with Hey Pikmin. I love the Pikmin franchise. I'm actually a big fan of it. I really like the overhead 3D graphics of the original and micromanaging all the different Pikmin you have and opening up new areas. Love it. What do I think of this? It's a 2D kind of action game where you're using Pikmin in certain ways to open up different areas. The same kind of way, but in 2D. It's not bad. I've only played a little bit of it, so these are very early impressions, but it's pretty fun what I played so far. It's very different for the Pikmin franchise. Graphics are really nice. I like the addition, how they use both screens together. It kind of expands the world a little bit that way. I think it's an interesting game. Miitopia. What is this? It is an RPG. It's a very simplistic RPG at its core. Very, very simplistic. What is the selling point of this? Why should you care or be interested in it? Because you can bring your friends into the game. And that is the one thing that I enjoyed in my little amount of time playing this game, was I could bring my friends in. So I could bring in Kim, me, into the game and map it to the evil king queen in the game. She became the queen when I put her into it. She's the evil ruler in my game now, and my arch rival, and I kind of think that's a lot of fun. I've made my Miis of Rob and of Vic and other friends in my life, and I'm going to incorporate them into the game. It's a very simple RPG. We're running around an overhead world, trying to save people, getting into combat, stuff like that, buying items, stuff like that, but it's not deep. It is not deep. The novelty factor is bringing your friends into the game. That's what this is all about, bringing your friends into the game. And in that, it's fun. It's not a bad game that way, but if you're looking for a deep, rich RPG experience, please look elsewhere. I went to visit some family, and they live about an hour away. And I heard there was a little bit of a used video game store. So I can't remember the name of the used game store that I went to. So me and Kim stopped by there, and I went in, and it was the usual fare of used video games in this retro store. And I was like, nothing really I haven't seen before, nothing I'm really interested in. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell? What the hell? So I have a mystery. I have a very big mystery. I've talked to Rob about it a few times. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I bought a bunch of games in my 20s, and this is after I purged a lot of games to buy Sega CDX when I was like 20 years old. I had a bunch of PS1 games and stuff like that, and for the life of me, I don't know where the hell they are. I must have lent them to people or something like that, and I never got them back, and you know how that is when you're younger. I had a rule when I was about 24, 25. I don't lend games out, and that is still true to this day. I don't lend games out because I forget. I forget who has them, and then I lose them, and then the passage of time goes on. Anyways, getting to it. I was scanning in this retro gaming store, and I was like, oh my god, I had this huge emotional reaction to a game that I used to own called Monster Rancher. Monster Rancher, right here. A game, I know this is a kind of an emotional game for me. It's a game that I got after my dad passed away. And I know this is unusual. I've never talked about the story, but it's I had a bit of a bonding moment with my mom because obviously my dad has passed away, so we're spending a lot more time together. And I bought this game. What is it? It's just a monster raising game. It's like Pokemon. It's that type of game where the novelty was that you'd be playing the game and you could generate new monsters and completely unique monsters via CDs. Music CDs or any kind of CD. The game was, you'd go into a shrine and then they'd say, okay, to generate a monster, put in a random CD. And every CD generated a random creature. And you didn't know what you were going to get. Sometimes you could get a really powerful creature. Who knows what, a Madonna CD would bring. Maybe it would generate a really powerful monster, maybe it wouldn't. And then you get that creature, and then you could raise it on a farm and train it and get into combat and raise abilities and stuff like that. And then when you got it really in the prime of its life, you could fight in a tournament against the CPU or against your friends. And it's really funny. I made Rob buy this game, and I just remember, I used to play against him all the time and raise my monster and go over his house and crush him. I enjoyed that a lot. But it was really about me and my mom, this game, and I could almost get a tear from it. Because I just remember sitting with her in the night and she sat next to me and I had a pile of CDs and we were popping them in to see what monsters would generate and what would happen. And it was kind of like a moment after my dad had passed away. This is probably like a year or so in, that we were trying to assemble a normal life of trying to be happy again and trying to find our way again. And it was, all that. So I was able to find this game for $49 and I'm sorry, I wonder what the fuck I did with my original copy. It drives me crazy thinking about it. I get angry thinking about it. I don't know why I would have ever misplaced it. It was such an important game. All my games behind me all have an emotional reason for them being here. This is definitely going on the shelf. Hugely important game. Now, an old guy from the old days of YouTube, an old friend of mine. He's not an old guy. He's old in the sense that he's in his 40s with me, but he was one of the original YouTube retro gaming guys, and that was Splatter Trigger, a really great old friend of mine. Still is to this day. Once in a while, he's selling some retro stuff, and he put up that he was selling Final Lap Twin on the TurboGrafx, a box version of it. And he offered me a stupendous deal on it. I was like, oh, yes. I said, I'd love to have this game, and why would I need to have such an old TurboGrafx game? Well, it's a TurboGrafx game. It's one from my childhood, but this game is really an interesting game on the TurboGrafx. It's a racing game, a stereotypical racing game. What sets this apart? It has a quest mode. It has an RPG quest mode, and for a racing game back in 1989, that was quite something else. So you start off in a town and you can talk to people. You can buy different equipment. You can enhance your racing vehicle, whatever you decide to go with. And there's so many different vehicles you can do. You can upgrade them all. And then you can race against CPU opponents and you get better items. You make more money. It's the whole quest thing. It's an RPG racer in its quest mode, but you can just play the arcadey kind of racing style mode in there as well. And I really love this. I really have a lot of fond memories of it, and it's like, oh wow, I can actually own this game. And so I thank Splatter Trigger for sending this sending this my way, and I could play it again. And I was playing it the other day, and I was like, God, I forgot how much I enjoyed this game. I don't think it's for everybody, but it's definitely for me. Another great YouTuber, Reggie, was talking about this game, Knights of the Azure. I think it's Knights of the Azure. That was a really fun type of game, and we were going back and forth on Twitter about it. And then I found a copy for like $29 on Amazon. I was like, here's my point to jump in. And so I snagged the game, and I can't wait to try it out. It looks like a lot of fun. I don't know what I'm going to think about it, but I'm going to play it in the next few weeks when I get a little bit of time. Now, I had a friend of mine from Scotland over here. I was having a bad Scotland impersonation for a second. But my friend Chris, and he came over and we hung out. We shot a video together. That video is going to be up in the next few weeks. I'm looking forward to that, where we talk about the European gaming scene in the 1990s. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I was really blown away. He brought me over this game, James Pond, codename Robocod. Now, what is unique about this game is what he told me is that this was a European-only game. We never got it over here. And I was like, oh my God, that's really cool. And I want to thank Chris again for giving this to me. What a really unique item. I don't own a lot of European games and a lot of European history. And so this game gets definitely a place on the shelf. Now we're moving into some Blu Rays, some anime, movies, and books. And some of these are really cool. So just hang on for it. Hang on for it. Now, this arrived about a month ago. Captain Harlock, Arcadia of My Youth. I think this came out in, I think it's 1981 or is it 1983? It's somewhere in that time period. This is like a story of, where Captain Harlock came from. And Captain Harlock is one of my favorite anime characters of all time. I first discovered Captain Harlock 1985, Galaxy Express, 999, one of my favorite animes. And I fell in love with Captain Harlock as a character. And here's the thing, I've never ever seen the movie, and so this is going to be a treat and a half. This is the Blu-ray. I am already organizing it that I can get Rob and my friend Aaron over maybe one Sunday when everybody's not so busy. I can try to get everybody together for a couple of hours to drink some tea, have some cookies, and watch this movie, because we all are big fans of Galaxy Express, and I think we'll all really enjoy watching this movie. So this is really a treat movie that I'm holding on to till they come over so we can watch it. Oh my God. If there's one thing that I absolutely love is when they take all the anime from my youth, and they put it onto Blu-ray, and it's not forgotten about, and I can watch it, and it looks absolutely stunning, and I can revisit it again, with my wife, so she can watch it, and she can see some of the magic of why I like some shows that I do. And here we go. I'm just going to start with the first one, Gundam. And I call it Gundam because why the fuck not? I love Gundam. I really do. I have a few favorite Gundams in my life. 0080, 0083, MS Team, Formula 91. We're going to get into all of it in a bit. Gundam 0083 has finally made its way over to Blu-ray. I never thought I'd see the day. This is a really wonderful Gundam show about a new test pilot, obviously, he takes on the Gundam GP01, and he's trying to get the GP02 back, I believe, and that's the one with the nuclear warhead that can destroy an entire fleet, and they're trying to bring back Zion, or Zeon, however you want to pronounce it, into the forefront again. And I love this. I think it's 13 OVAs. I'm having a look here. Yes, it is. I had to take this under light. My eyes are getting bad in my old age. It is 13 OVAs altogether, and it's a wonderful story. The animation is incredible. A high recommendation for me. It's really about this kid, coming into his own, taking over this Gundam, and it's like a lot of Gundams that way, but the quality of animation and storytelling, top notch, high recommendation. So I've got to watch this really soon all the way through. I was watching with my friend Andrew when he was over. Okay, another one from the old days of me and Rob and my friend Satan Aaron hanging out. We always used to watch this, and that was Gundam 08 MS Team. It's really Gundam in Vietnam. That's really all I'll really say about it that way. But just like 0083, the animation, the storytelling, the character designs, it's really from my youth so much. When I was 23 years old, it's 20 years ago, I watched this. Isn't that nuts? When did time fly by so fast? It blows me away. But yeah, me and my friends used to watch this. We used to buy the model kits of this, and we just loved the Vietnam style designs of the Gundams in this. Really great. Now I gotta take you into the Wayback Machine for a second here. Back to 1983. I went with my friend Rodney. This is when I lived in Ontario when we first moved to Canada. And we went to the movie theaters. Our parents drove us to the movie theaters, dropped us off. I must have been 9 years old. And we saw a movie called Space Hunter in the Forbidden Zone. And it was in 3D, 1983. This is 1983, folks. The red and blue glasses we wore in the theater, and it's one of those things I'll never forget, sitting with my friend Rodney watching this movie, and it was over the top, where an evil scientist in it would have a syringe and would go towards the screen, like right towards you. You're like, it's like it's coming out of the screen at you. It really was 3D of hilarity in the 80s, but it worked. And here's the thing. I love Space Hunter, still to this day. It's a terrible movie. It's with Peter Strauss and Molly Ringwald. This is my original DVD copy. Here's my original DVD copy. And here is the brand new Blu Ray of this. And unfortunately, my wife will have to sit down and watch this with me because we are watching this. I said I want to do a new GameStop episode, and then we got to watch this movie about it. We have to watch this. And it's really about a dystopian future, like a Mad Max style future on another planet. And a kind of a bounty hunter's got to go there and rescue some girls with Molly Ringwald. It's a really unusual story. It's a little cheap on the budget. But me and my friend Rodney absolutely love this. And we're talking 1983, the same year Return of the Jedi came out. A couple years before, we had Empire Strikes Back. We're coming off a major science fiction high. And Space Hunter absolutely fulfilled that for two 9-year-old boys. And that's what this movie's all about for me. I really cannot wait to watch it. Really fun. Okay, so in the last few weeks, I went to the movies because I had my new show, Film Fury, and we saw, Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. We saw it 3 days early, and we reviewed it. And I reviewed it really high. I absolutely love the movie. I still do now. I went back to the movie theater 2 days later, took Kim to see it. We both loved it again, and she loved it, watching it for the first time. But meanwhile, out there in review land, everybody hated this movie. Everybody unanimously bashed the acting. They said the movie was a bit imaginative, but it was bad overall. The acting wasn't there. Everybody hated this movie. And it's really a weird position for me to be in, that I absolutely found the magic and wonder and the character acting. It didn't bother me at all. In fact, I completely bought these characters, and they're arguing back and forth, but they like each other. They have that kind of relationship in it, and I was bought on the movie. I really enjoyed it, and here's something I didn't know. I don't know everything in the universe, and I'm glad I don't, because I get to find out amazing surprises. That this was based on a graphic novel series from France. I didn't have any clue. So obviously, I had to absolutely find out about this graphic novel series. I did a lot of research. I found out it started in 1967, a precursor to Star Wars, and quite a few other science fiction movies, and it influenced Star Wars in so many ways, you wouldn't even believe it. But I had to read it for myself. I had to say, okay, what is, Valerian all about the original, Valerian and Laureline is the original one. It became Valerian and Laureline when he met her in the comic itself, and then everybody loved her character so much they had to keep her in, and I'm really happy about that. So I got a couple of graphic novels here. This is the Complete Collection Volume 3, and this is one of the later ones that they ever released called The Circles of Power. And I read this one first. I went to a park and I tried out the new 2DS, and I sat and I read this in one sitting. What do I think of the old Valerian comics? I love them. I absolutely love them. I grew up, I'm going to get into a huge rant here, folks, sorry. I grew up reading Heavy Metal magazine and Mobius and that style of European comic books. And then, years later when I saw The Fifth Element, I absolutely fell in love with it. It was a genius movie that captured that European style of storytelling and art design that I absolutely adore. And I found out lately, especially after seeing Valerian, how much I adore the style. And I adore the storytelling, like more so than I ever have. And so I also went and read this Volume 3. I read the first part of Volume 3, and I have to get to it here. Sorry, folks, give me a second here. Here we go. Ambassador of Shadows. Ambassador of Shadows. That is the story that is kind of what Valerian the movie is based on, and it was very different. Very, very different. In that story, in the original comic, the city, sorry for spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie, go and see the movie. You can cut off right now. I'm going to talk about the movie, and I'm going to talk about the comic book and how they kind of relate, because, sorry, I'm so enthusiastic about doing this. I should have done just an episode on Valerian, but everybody'd hate it, because most people hated the movie, so they wouldn't even give it a chance to listen to me on what I'm going to say. But, no, the original comic book, it's interesting. The city of 1,000 planets that we find, we see in the movie that's built around the Earth is not built around the Earth. It's just built in the middle of the universe. And it's just started random creatures and people, start building and building and building, and all these different races end up building this massive space colony with 1,000 races or whatever it may be, like a lot of races and stuff like that. And humankind just comes to be a part of it as well. Where the alien creatures that are in the beginning of the movie are in the story, but they're not in any relation to the way they're shown in the movie. It's really weird. In fact, what's really interesting is that Valerian is with this ambassador from Earth, and the ambassador of Earth wants to take over the entire space station, which is Alpha in the movie. And he has all these invisible, cloaked Earth Federation ships ready to do so. And he's captured by those aliens, and so is Valerian, and he's given, they basically talked to him and said, listen, what you're doing is terrible. Earth, shouldn't be doing this sort of thing, and you're kicked out of Alpha. You're kicked out of the space station for 100 years. The entire human race is kicked out. That's the end of the story. That's what these aliens tell them. They're like the shadows, the ambassadors that are watching everything, that are really making the call. They're not the weak race that you see in the movie. They're nothing even remotely like that. And even the creature that generates all the money in the movie, that's in no relationship to the aliens either. It's really unusual. But the one thing that is the same is the relationship with Valerian and Laureline. They're constantly bickering back and forth. And Valerian's a very, kind of cocky asshole character like he is in the movie. So for me, it kind of justified the movie even more. As I say, it didn't bother me in the movie they were acting, but it justified it. I was like, wow, Luc Besson, who's the director, did a really faithful adaptation. He melded so many story elements of all of the comic into one crazy storyline, and I think he did an incredible job, and it's going to become a cult classic, and I don't care if any other human being on the planet doesn't like the movie. I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate anybody else that didn't like it. They had some problems with the characters or the acting. I get it. I totally understand. I can see from many perspectives how that is the case, and how a lot of people could be let down by it. I just think it's a $180 million independent movie that we will never see again. We're just going to see more Batmans and Spider-Mans and Thors and Iron Mans, and not enough independent science fiction movies that take a risk. and do something brand new. And that's why I'm so gutted with Valerian failing. But at least I can enjoy going back and reading some of the comic books. The comic books are really good. So, okay, guys, I'm getting a little lightheaded. I was really doing a rant on Valerian there. My last little bit, I was in a used bookstore and I looked in the used bin. I was like, oh, I don't know why I'll even look in the used bin. The 5-star stories, really great old manga from Japan. Used to play new type. I got for $5, and these things are kind of hard to come by. It's an epic, story set in the future. I wouldn't even say set in the future, set in an alternate galaxy with knights and robots and giant robots that they control. It's really about a royal family and the esteem that they show through their Mirage Knights. And long story. I'm gonna get out now. This has been a long new game stuff episode, and I just wanted to show some new stuff and have a good time talking to you guys, because you know what? I do buy this stuff, but I really love it. I really enjoy the medium. I enjoy all these movies and games, and I really get a lot out of it. I've already read the Valerian novels a couple of times already. Love this stuff so much, guys. So anyways, guys, until next time.